Our webinar tonight. We are going to be talking about how to unlock cybersecurity. So I wanted to first introduce myself and let the rest of the DC chapter introduce themselves before we get into tonight's content. So my name is Kanika Tolver. I am the president of the DC chapter. I've been in tech for almost 20 years. Wow. And I work in the federal government tech space as a product manager for ServiceNow applications. And I am super excited to be here tonight. So I'm going to hand it off to our VP, Bree.
Hey y'all, I'm Bree. I've been in tech for, please don't mind my background. Y'all know I'm a mom, so if my son come running in, don't mind him.
Someone
I've been in tech for, no, he's not gonna be on camera. I've been in tech for almost 3 years now. I started as a BA, got promoted to a product owner. Yeah, I know I'm a part of the OE community, so I'm a BA and a PO. I also have a consulting business, so I help others break into tech through BA and PO route. Also do a lot of job services and job readiness services. So I'm the VP. I'm so excited for you guys to be here. Thanks for joining us. Quan is going to drop some major gems in the cyber industry. So make sure you guys take notes. And like Dee said, please tag us on socials, reach out to us, network with us, link with us. We have so much coming for y'all.
Awesome. I'll hand it over to our social media manager, De'Ara.
Hi, everyone. I'm De'Ara Footman. You probably have seen me on Twitter recently talking about becoming a cybersecurity. I've been in tech almost 15 years now. My whole background is network engineering and now more recently network security. And as Bree mentioned, Quan has put together an amazing presentation for you guys. And make sure you take notes and tag us and participate in the conversation online.
Awesome. I want to thank De'Ara for developing an amazing flyer for this event and pushing it through social. So if you guys are here on social, if you guys are on social media, feel free to go ahead and reshare the link out for people to still have time to join the webinar right now before we get started. So you guys can reshare that on social, send it to your friends, send it via text, anybody that's interested in cybersecurity. So we're super excited. We have Jay Quan, saying that right?
You got it.
Daquan Thorne,
Yep.
who's our amazing guest speaker for tonight. I am super excited for you guys to take notes and to connect with him as well. But I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself. You are our outreach coordinator.
Exactly. So I am the outreach coordinator here at Black in Tech. Professionally, I manage cybersecurity for a manufacturing conglomerate. It's lit, man. Look, after 5 o'clock, y'all call me Quan. Don't call me, you call me Quan. I'm Quan here. I'm just gonna be real. Y'all gonna have to just get me as I am. Like I said, grew up around from in DC and PG County. I feel like I'm just like a regular person, a regular guy that's from here, and I made a career. I started out through an IT training program called the Hope Project, based out of DC and based out of Southeast. Super lit, man. I started out as help desk, and I really just kind of climbed my way up and to be where I'm at. I've been lucky enough to help like a lot of my peers, like early on, break into cyber and kind of be the one that paved the way for them. That led me to opening up a training program called the Cheat Code, man. And through the Cheat Code, again, I like to bump it, man, because 3 million. We brought 3 million to the DMV through combined salaries, whether it was IT help desk jobs or cybersecurity jobs. So like I said, I got a little family, and I really care about my students. I really care about my people. I really, like what Dennis said, my passion is honestly not even really cybersecurity, y'all. It's really helping people, helping Black people for real. If you go look on my Instagram, the cheat code, all you're gonna see is Black and brown faces breaking into tech, and we working every day.
So I want everybody that if you want to stay connected to Quan, I want as De'Ara or Bree, can you drop the link to your social and your program? So if you guys are not I want you guys to try to stay here for the entire webinar if you possibly can, but I would definitely want you to try to connect with Juan if you're interested in breaking into cybersecurity. This is a great time. There's a lot of opportunities within all industries, not just GovTech or not just in DC, but all over the world. This is the opportunity for you to follow in his footsteps and get the cheat code, because he definitely got the cheat code to help y'all level up, So we're going to go ahead and quick kick off the webinar. The rest of the panelists, we're going to turn our cameras off and we're going to get into today's presentation. But make sure that you stay connected and interact with us within the chat. We will provide an opportunity for you guys to ask questions at the end. And we will also talk a little bit more about some of our upcoming events that we have coming up in September. So stay tuned and sit back, get your pen and notepad and take notes. Quan, it's all yours. So Dennis, Quan, let me know if you can share your screen if you have the opportunity, if you can share.
Yep, I'm going to share. I'm
Okay.
pulling up the presentation.
Okay, sure. And again, those, while we're getting the presentation set up, please feel free to share out the link. If you know anybody that's interested in breaking into cybersecurity, this is the opportunity to get connected with Quan and get more information about the cybersecurity industry. So let's go, Quan. We'll just
let me know if you can see.
I think we need to go to your tab for the deck, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see your deck now. Yep. All right, there's a storm going on in my neighborhood right now. If I get disconnected, I'll be right back. But I do hear thunder, so just FYI.
Same. It sounds like it's about to come down.
Right, it would happen tonight, but okay. All right,
Soon,
let's go.
let's go. All right. So this is the Blacks in Technology Cybersecurity walkthrough. And so today, I got a lot of content for y'all, man. I really want to, I'm hoping that I can get through it. We're gonna go over a couple of different topics, some of the fundamentals, and then I got like a demonstration for analyzing a phishing email for y'all. So I'm excited to go through it. Oh, sorry, wrong screen. All right, let's go. So what is cybersecurity, right? So like what Dior was saying, like I want to be a cybersecurity man. It went over my head at first. I was like, what's she talking about? But now people really come in this field and just be like, oh, I want to be a cybersecurity. Probably really don't know what cybersecurity is, man. So let's break it down right now. So cybersecurity is essentially the practice of protecting the business, right? At the end of the day, our job is to protect the business against cyber threats. And that cyber threat can be somebody from overseas attacking depending on what organization you're with, attacking your government agency. It could be somebody that actually works for the actual company and, maybe is intentionally doing something that will cause, harm to the organization, or even somebody doing something unintentionally. I don't know if anybody watched a podcast called Gerald Arja, but we call him Carl, right? Like somebody that should just do some goofy stuff at work. And, it's a USB on the ground. Carl pick it up, put it in his computer, and now we fighting ransomware now. All of that, we protecting against all of those things. All right. So when we talking about protecting the business, that's really broken down into three different areas. I believe that this link, this PowerPoint will be shared out to you. So I'm not going to be reading from off of this. I'm going to talk to y'all. Like I said, y'all, I'm really just going to give y'all me right now. But cybersecurity, like protecting cybersecurity, is really broken down into three general areas. It's called the CIA triad or the CIA triangle, and it starts with confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So first and foremost, like what is confidentiality, right? Confidentiality is pretty much what it sounds like, right? Like it's keeping something confidential, right? It's protecting information from people who don't have access, that should not have access to that information. So ensuring that the person who access, a specific piece of information, that's that person that needs to have it, right? So again, think about your bank account. You go log into whatever bank that you got, you go pull up your app. You don't want me in there. You don't want me in there. You know what I'm saying? That should be only for you. Or if you share something, only for you and the person that you share that account with, right? Nobody else should have eyes into that. Your phone, the data in your phone, the data in your computer. Nobody should have access to that. Think about like you walking in your house, man. Like, I mean, confidentiality is a lot of times described through like a lock and a key, right? You don't want nobody coming in your house that should not be there, that is not authorized to be there. And that's essentially the concept of confidentiality. Now, it's a couple of different things that we use to protect confidentiality. I got them listed right here. We got encryption. We're gonna go into detail about these things in a little bit though, so I'm not gonna go into too much right here. But we got encryption. We got authentication, strong authentication practices. We got access controls and permissions, and then we got actual secure network architecture. All right, with encryption, man, I debated about telling this story, man, y'all. So, but again, I'm just all out here now. So, encryption is essentially right the practice of turning readable data into unreadable data, and is used so that we are not essentially, it's just not open, right? Like you might can get through a password, but it's harder to break encryption, right? So, and that's essentially the thing, right? We turn something that looks normal, it's called plain text, and we transferring it into something called ciphertext, and that's just basically like mumbo jumbo. Go to the next slide. And this is just a picture that I found online. It's a couple of pictures throughout this joint, but it looked a little bit different than this. But this is a instance of what plain text would look like versus it's an example of what something that is encrypted would look like. Can't really understand what they're saying. I don't know. All right, talk to me, chat. Talk to me. I can't see the chat right now, but still talk to me, y'all. Has anybody seen The Wire? Like y'all know what The Wire is? Well, I feel like I ain't 30 yet, but I feel like that's some OG stuff, man. Y'all know what The Wire is? Y'all seen The Wire?
You talking about the show in Baltimore?
Yeah, the show in Baltimore.
Oh,
All right, so we know The Wire, right? The Wire, the show in Baltimore. It's about a couple of guys come up in Baltimore. They getting a lot of money doing a lot of stuff they ain't supposed to be doing. Um, so when they moving like that, they gotta move a little bit different, right? Because they can't just kind of, when they communicate and they don't want to, give out their whereabouts, let out all of their information. So on The Wire, um, they end up having like these beepers or whatever, and they used to send messages to each other through the beepers. Um, Whatever they said was essentially translated through a code, and then they jumbled up everything. So when the police basically got the beeper, they couldn't even decipher, right? They couldn't decipher what the messages were saying. It took them a long time to try to crack that code, which was essentially like it's not really an algorithm, but I mean it's essentially like the first time that I feel like we was really introduced to like encryption on a basic level. I don't know if anybody remember that, but my little example. Let me see. So we have two main types of encryption, right? So again, like I said, encryption is the process of turning data that is readable in plain text to data that is unreadable in ciphertext. But we got two different, types types of encryption, two major categories, right? That is going to be asymmetric and symmetric encryption. The difference between them pretty easy. So, well, I don't know, it might be a little complicated. We'll see. Um, so symmetric encryption, right? Symmetric encryption is essentially encryption that uses the same key to encrypt it, right? Meaning that it's going to make the data unreadable with one key, and then it's using that same key to translate that data back into regular text. is all that I'm saying. So the data is essentially unreadable. It's readable at first. It's a regular message. Once it's encrypted with the one key, it is then turned unreadable. And then when that message is received by the next person, it is then decrypted with that same key. And the key is, you could think of the key like a passphrase. The key could be anything. It could be the key is blacks in technology today. Yeah, for sure. So you'll use that key, blacks in technology, and you would attach it to your message and essentially encrypt it with that key. That data then is unreadable unless somebody has that actual key, blacks in technology, the passphrase, to decrypt the message. So we got a little visualization right here. So um we just go. I'm gonna let it go back. Right. So right here, um we got Marge, right? She wants to send a message to John, right? So she getting a little spicy, man. She saying like, "Oh, John," man. She trying to see what's up with John, and she don't want nobody in her business. She classy, man. So she go encrypt that message. She don't want nobody in her business. John get it. He decrypted with the same key, right? Blacks in technology, and he get the message, right? And you kind of see what she's on. So you can see they sharing the key. This key right here is blacks in technology right now. The message is right here. She encrypts it right here with the key, putting it, boom. You can't read that no more. John got it. Same key, blacks in technology, decrypted it. He see the message, and you see what's up with my man. I don't know what they on. I don't know what they getting into. Um, but that's my little message for symmetric encryption. Just understand that it uses the same key, or you could think of it as passphrase to encrypt the message, and the same key, right, is used to decrypt the message. So they both are essentially using the passphrase blacks in technology to one turn it unreadable, and then using that same passphrase to make it readable again. So that's all I mean by symmetric encryption. But when we talk about asymmetric encryption, it's a little bit different though. It's not necessarily the same key. Like it's not just the password. It's not like getting in a club and using the pass and it's the password to get in the club, right? It's a little bit different with asymmetric encryption. Essentially, with asymmetric encryption, there is a public key and a private key. Essentially, the public key can be looked up a lot of times through DNS, depending on what we're talking about. But it can be looked up. It's out there for the public to see, right? A private key is private to that particular individual. You should never share your private key. That's wild. That's crazy work. To tell somebody your public key, that's like telling somebody your password, man. Um, and essentially, you need both of those keys in order to unlock the message. So let me just show you with the visualization, right? So we got Joe right here. He's sending something to Sarah, and I'm gonna let it go again so we can see what happened. It was real fast. But Joe took Sarah's public key and encrypted his message with her public key. Because remember, her public key is accessible to the world, right? We want to protect confidentiality right here, right? So we want to make sure that this message can only be accessed by the authorized individual. The way that we are protecting confidentiality with using these two keys, the reason that we encrypting it with her public key is because that we know with asymmetric encryption, everybody got a public key, everybody got a private key. So if I encrypt this message with Sarah's public key, then Sarah should be the only one that's able to decrypt this joint, unless Sarah did some crazy stuff and I gave her keys out, man. But Sarah ain't do that. Sarah ain't do that. So Sarah is the only person that is able to access this document because it's encrypted. Sarah has the only match to her public key. The opposite can also be true, but it's kind of like a different story. I don't want to skip too far ahead, but like someone can encrypt something with their private key, and only that person's public key would be able to unlock it. In that situation, you're really protecting the next thing that we're going to talk about. I'm gonna end up bringing this up again. Um, but in that situation, that person is only trying to prove that they are who they say that they are. Because I encrypted this with my private key, so only my public key will be able to open this. So that's a lot. That's a lot to chew on, man. How y'all feel about that? I can't see the chat. I'm just used to saying
How,
that.
how y'all feeling about that? Are y'all, somebody said very interesting, pretty good, understandable, interesting. 2 thumbs up. Thank you. Somebody says, Jaquan, I cannot see your screen. Okay. I'm not sure what that is. Everybody can see the screen, right? I can see it. Love the analogies, interesting and understandable. Okay. All right.
Alright. Cool.
Yep,
Y'all
keep
with me.
going, bro.
Y'all with me. Y'all with me. I'm gonna check in on y'all from time to time when I feel like we talk about something a little complicated. Um, TLS SSL. This gonna take y'all to kind of look at a little bit more to see how these algorithms work if you wanna get into that. But understand that these two protocols are essentially used to encrypt network traffic. Now I know we got probably like a lot of people that probably, you know what I'm saying? It's probably somebody in here that don't know what an IP is, fool. Like, and that's okay. That's completely okay. When I say network traffic, I'm talking about the way that computers communicate with each other, right? We got different protocols or different formats of communication for the different things that we want to do on the computer. Sending an email, right, is done through a protocol, right? Browsing the web is essentially a network protocol. We are using it right now, literally. And think about it, when you online and you doing whatever you're doing, do you really want like your traffic to be passed in plain text? Probably not. That's crazy work. That's also crazy work. Um, so we need these protocols. At first, it started with SSL, man, and we could go through it. Each of the, some of these protocols got their own weaknesses, but to sum this up, at this point in time, at 2024, and again, it's going to be subject to change eventually, but TLS 1.2 is the standard. Anything below that, trash. Anything below that, trash, because it can be decrypted. The same way, like on the wire, when the police started to figure out what was going on with the algorithm, where like they end up decoding the message. If y'all paid attention to it, if y'all actually seeing that joint, they end up decoding the messages. They start figuring out like, oh, on this message they went up 3 letters, they went up 3 numbers every letter, and they ended up decoding and figuring out what they were actually saying. Right? The same way that can happen, these algorithms are 10 times more, maybe 100 times more complex than what they had going on the wire. But again, using an unsecure protocol will allow for, again, it will be pointless. Confidentiality will still be broken. It is still up for grabs at that point. So again, TLS 1.2, TLS 1.3 are the standards for securing this network communication. If so, yeah, keep going. So I think we're gonna actually make some good time. So access control, right? So we went through encryption. That's a lot. I ain't gonna hold y'all, like that's a lot. Like even when I'm teaching in class, I ain't gonna like we go over that a lot. Like to understand like symmetric versus asymmetric again. So we learned that with symmetric encryption, we using one key, the same key. Right now the key is Blackson technology. Right? Right. We using Blackson technology to make that data unreadable. And then the next person that get that message gonna use Blackson technology to make it readable. And then we learned that asymmetric encryption uses a public and private key. So that's going to be 2 keys, and they gotta match. They gotta match. You're going to encrypt a message with someone's public key and send it to them because you know that only their private key will be able to decrypt it. My bad if I'm repeating. I just again it might not have made sense the first time around. I want to make sure that it clicked, that it's valuable for you for real.
So folks in the chat is saying, Matthew Chapman says, call me paranoid. I think the walls is listening. He's quoting Young Jeezy, TLS 1.0.
Nah, for real. Nah, for real, because they're gonna be right in there with you, chat. And using that. I'm telling you.
Diera said, your IP address is a unique numeric address assigned to your device that is allowing it to communicate on the network.
Exactly. Any device that you got connected to the internet is gonna have an IP address, man. And you again, it's 2024, y'all. You getting more stuff connected to the internet. Refrigerators connect to the internet now, man. They got IP addresses. Basically, computers they talk on the internet just like a regular computer. So, so access control, man. So we still in confidentiality. We still protecting confidentiality, ensuring that the data is only being accessed by the desired individual, by the person that should have access, keeping it away from people that should not have access. So when we start talking access control, um, we protecting confidentiality in a way, but I really feel like access control shines at limiting the impact of a breach of confidentiality, right? So all I'm saying is, right, like let's say you got a password, you use the same password on your MyFitnessPal app that you use on the network. You out, but it happens, right? Your password, MyFitnessPal get hacked, the creds get leaked on the dark web. Um, you somebody ends up logging into your account, or maybe you click the phishing email. Who knows how it happened? And your account ends up getting compromised, right? Um, Access control is really the way that we control who gets what access, right? And I'm not gonna talk because I could rap y'all. I could really talk to y'all all night. But I'm gonna go to the next slide so it can keep me on track, right? But access control is how we control who gets what access at the end of the day. So let's chop it up and talk about it. We got a couple more different types. These are the four main types that you're gonna hear about. You got discretionary access control, no good, no good, right? Like, well, it depends. At scale, discretionary access control is really hard to maintain, right? It's granting specific access, and somebody is doing it at their discretion, right? Um, what all that's saying is like, they get to pick and choose who gets access. Might be cool for a smaller organization, right? You got a smaller environment, and you giving access to a specific application, but at scale, that's crazy. At scale, that's crazy. At scale, that don't work. You end up giving somebody access to something, and then maybe they transfer over in an organization. And because you're not following one of the other access control types, they mess around and still have the old access, right? And if they don't need it, the rule of thumb in security, they shouldn't have it, right? But I'm gonna go back because it's another access control that um help explain what I'm saying a little bit more. So when we talk about mandatory access control, right? That's a type of access control that's going to be primarily done by like the DoD. That's when you start talking about your top secret information versus you start talking about your clearances. Are you cleared to access this type of information? Is essentially what it's talking about, and what it's protecting is that you don't get access to sensitive information. Again, when we talking access control, everybody do not need access to everything, right? Especially when you're talking military and government, they dealing with a bunch of information. It's a lot of red tape around it, a lot of red tape around it. So that's that mandatory access control. You have access to it's like what you need, but like again, cleared information that's secret, that's top secret. It kind of falls in line literally with the clearance system. When you start talking about role-based access control, that's kind of like that's kind of standard. Like this is I don't want to speak crazy, but like that's best practice for the most part, right? Giving access to somebody based on the job that they gotta perform. You know what I'm saying? So like Joe in the mailroom do not need access to the freaking financial data. You feel me? Not at all. Not at all, bruh. Joe in the mailroom need access to mail related stuff. You know what I'm saying? The person in finance do not need access to the domain server or to some crazy IT system. Why? Why would he need that? Right? And that's where role-based access control. We giving you access based on your job function, and that is how that access is disseminated to you. That's how that access is given to you. That's how it's governed. That's how it's set up. I don't know if I don't want to go too deep, um, but a lot of the times, I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna just keep going. Attribute-based access control, right? So we done saying this before, man. You got a site you sign into. Say you gotta be 18 to visit, right? You gotta be 18, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, like FanDuel or like sports betting or something like that. You might gotta be 18 to click on it. It's gonna ask you for the attribute. You know what I'm saying? So, and you have to tell something about yourself, right, in order to get access. I'm 18. I'm logging in from this such and such country. Um, Man, over the years, man, my wife done got a little expensive, man. So like I said, we was this summer we went to a bunch of different places. And we travel a lot. We was coming back from Vietnam and we had to stop in Paris. And she's like, well, Quan, try to get you an appointment at the Hermes store. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try. So I go try to get on, but I'm still in Vietnam. When I log on to try to request the site on the little website or whatever, they say, you have to be inside. I had to specifically note and declare that I was inside of Paris, like I was actually in Paris. But then it also looked at my IP address and didn't give me access based on that attribute, based on that characteristic that I was logging in from somewhere that I shouldn't have been logged into. I had to actually say that, hey, I am in Paris. I had to declare it right to even get the next page, but the next page literally said, no, boy. The next page said, nah. But that's essentially what that is, right? You giving somebody access based on an attribute, based on the attribute. You log into like a sports betting or any type of gambling type of website, you have to declare that you're 18 for sure. So there you go with that. Principal of least privilege should go with everything, right? You want someone to have the least, and I keep saying it, but very important concept in cyber, man. You want someone to have the least amount of access as possible, right? Again, even though Billy work in the finance department, man, Billy don't need access to, maybe one of the major contracts and to be able to edit inside of that SharePoint. Maybe he don't need that. Maybe Billy's an intern. Maybe he do work for the finance department, right? But maybe Billy doesn't need that deep level of access, right? So the principle of least privilege kicks in. Billy, you don't need that. You need access to the very least amount of information possible, and that allows you to still do your job, right? And again, what this is exactly why I say that access control, right? It limits the impact. When I say impact, I mean the result. What is the result of confidentiality being breached? What's the result of somebody bagging us, right? What happens because somebody bagged your password? What happens because they bagged Billy? You know what I'm saying, right? Billy's an intern. Billy didn't have access to even see certain things or to be able to write or to be able to take action against certain things, right? So again, it limits the actual damage that was caused by this person's account being compromised. I hope y'all feel me. So we're gonna move on to authentication methods. I'm gonna kind of wrap them up in the first one though. So authentication method again, authentication logging in, the different ways that we can log in, right? Like how do we log in? How do we authenticate, right? And I'm sure we do this in our daily lives, so y'all done seen most of these. Um, Multi-factor authentication, right? So I'm gonna start off right here. And then we're gonna talk about different types of authentications. So MFA, right? Multi-factor authentication is using two or more different authentication types in order to log in and access whatever you're trying to access, right? So that might be something that right? Something that might be like a password, might be a PIN, might be like a security question, right? It might be something that you have, right? So we all, well, like I said, I'm from the DMV area, the DC area, right? Like, so, to log, it's a lot of people that work government around here. So I know we done seen, like, if you're in this area, you grew up, you see a lot of the CAT cards and the PIV cards that people get when they working for the government, A lot of people done been in that situation when you're saying that, but people have to have that card literally in order to log in. Not only do they have to have it, they need to know the PIN number that's associated with it. All right. And that's MFA just automatically like that. Something that you have might be something different. I don't know if anybody, the RSA token, I don't have a picture for it, and I was supposed to put a picture in here for the RSA tokens. So my bad, y'all. I apologize for that. But the RSA tokens, I don't know if y'all ever seen the little key fobs. Got the numbers. The numbers always changing. You need that particular number. It's called a temporary one-time password, actually. And that number just constantly changes, but somebody has to have that key fob in order to have the number. So having that number that's on that key fob proves that you got it. You feel me? So it's something that you have, right? At this point, at 2024, we able to get software versions of these, right? So you might got the Microsoft Authenticator app in some form or another if you're working in
Google Authenticator.
Google Authenticator, exactly. Duo, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a bunch of them, Okta. And you might have these right on your phone, but being able to access that app means that you have this particular phone. You have the actual authenticator, so you have that. And the last one, and I know I kind of skipped right there, but the last one gonna be something that you are, something that you are. So that's referring to biometrics. That's your fingerprint. That's your facial, the facial scans. Right? If you go out of the country, right, when you come back in, they scanning your face. They called me off guard one day. They called us by our first name before I gave them their password. They was like, "How you doing, Jaquan?" I'm like, "What?"
Would
I'm
that be
like,
would that be similar to your phone too? The face recognition?
the
Like, yeah.
facial recognition, literally. Um, when I worked for the state of Maryland, in order for me to access my building, I had to log in with a cat card. Well, not a cat card. It wasn't a cat card. It was the badge. I had to log in with a badge and then scan my retinas to get through the man trap or the switching door, the revolving door. But literally, I had to go through a badge, get through one door, and then scan my retina and get through the man trap. And again, that is a form of authentication. I said, man, I was not trying to scan my retinas, man. I was a little mad about that. I said, man, but it just is what it is. It's something that you are. Again, your fingerprint, your handprint, your eyes, your retina, your facial recognition, something that you are. You are you. So, and you use two of these, right? And as long as you use two of these, maybe it's a password and a fingerprint. Maybe it's a password and a facial recognition. Maybe it is you have the app push notification on your phone and you log in with a password. But those things are typically what make up um you know MFA, right? Like that's is using two of these authentication types. So again, something you know, something you are, something you have. I hope I'm not putting y'all to sleep, man. So the next thing that we got single sign on. Single sign on might sound crazy, right? Like just like it might sound crazy, right? Because when you got single sign on, you essentially log in one time, right? And
Mhm.
you logging in that one time give you access to a bunch of different applications, right? So you can access pretty much majority of everything that you need to access, with that one logging in one time. It don't even make you authenticate or log in no more, right? It's just like you automatically go to it, is up. It verified that you're using single sign-in. It just automatically passes you through. You logged in. And that might sound crazy because it's like, man, they now if they attack Billy, man, they in everything Billy can access. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. But the passwords is kind of like the thing of the past, man. Um, NIST is a governing organization that makes frameworks for how security should be ran for different organizations in different sectors. They got a bunch of different frameworks that need to be followed. Well, they recently came out and said that, like, hey, I mean, at first, password like retention policies, meaning how long we could have a password, used to be real short, 30 days. We was changing our passwords before we could remember what they was. You know what I'm saying? Like you might really not know. That it was, and then it turned into 45 days, then it turned into 90 days, and now they came after, I think last year, and said that password should be, it doesn't even matter, as long as you're changing that password at least annually, you good, as long as you have some form of MFA. I was like, "Huh, for real?" But it's a lot of data that backs it up, that the frequent password changes, right? And I don't mean to go
Yeah,
off topic.
that's a good point because we went from changing our password regularly through Microsoft Windows,
Hmm.
and now we don't do that now. We just log in with our PIN.
Hmm. Literally,
So
literally.
it's no longer getting that notification with it, oh, in 14 days your Windows
Hmm.
password is going to change,
Hmm.
and you use that PIN. It's a numeric PIN on
Hmm.
the
Yep.
keyboard, and then you log on and you write right into your machine.
Exactly. Exactly. Because it's kind of being phased out because it end up leading to poor hygiene. Poor hygiene. You got people, they're gonna be using old, like reusing passwords. That's like super old, because we do normally got like reuse policies and stuff too.
Or people
Um.
gonna be having to keep a bunch of passwords, and they're gonna be putting them in their notepad, put them in their
Hmm.
notebook, and
Hmm.
leaving them on their desk. And
Making them super simple. People was making up systems, and like it'd be November 15th, then it'd be November 155, and again, that's gonna all be susceptible to certain attacks. Like, and it just leads to very poor hygiene. Like Kanika is saying, literally, you have them in your notes, you have them anywhere on your desk. You'll be surprised. Like I said, I started off in service desk. You'll be surprised. What people like leave around, man, on their stuff. Like, just you'll see it like just out in the open. Um, and again, we got to protect the organization, like we all. That's one thing about cyber, and I'm gonna get back to it. I'm a scroll so that it make me go to the next topic. But that's one thing about cyber, where it's like it's a joint effort on with between the users and the security team, right? Like that's another thing that I'm not necessarily talking about tonight, but like the culture around cybersecurity at an organization is extremely important. You need to come from the top down and the bottom up, like both ways, man. We all responsible. Don't be a Carl. Don't be goofy. Um, so integrity, right? Integrity, like right, so right here, reading it, it ensures accuracy, completeness, and reliability of data. What are you saying for real? I'm saying that when you get in, with integrity, you making sure that that data is what you think it is what it says that it is, right? That data has not been modified prior to you receiving it, right? And that's one of the biggest things with integrity. That might come in the form of using your email. That might come in the form of downloading some software, right? But no matter what it is, you want to make sure that you downloading something safe, that you are receiving what you think that what you are supposed to be receiving. So we and protect integrity through a couple of things. I didn't put every single step to protect integrity here tonight for the sake of the presentation. But we protect integrity using a couple of things like something called file hashes, right? Um, I'm gonna talk about file hashes first. That's what we actually got on the slides. So we talk about file hashes. So when you modify a file, right, like that file can be put into like a specific algorithm, like another equation, like we was talking about with Avon Boxdale and the people at the Y. Um, but that file can be put through a specific mathematical algorithm, and then it's going to turn that file into a alphanumerical um what you call it? It's a number. It's numbers and letters put together. Alphanumerical. I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but it's numbers and letters blended together, bro. At the end of the day, right? And that number and letter combination, that alphanumerical phrase, I'm just gonna say that for lack of better words, but that alphanumerical phrase essentially represents that file at that specific point in time, right? I'm not gonna actually upload a file in here, but if you want to practice this, right, you can go into this website called virustotal.com. And essentially, if you can go and upload just a document, you can type your name on the document, right? Type your name on the document. If you upload the document into VirusTotal, it's going to show you a hash. right? Change that document, change your name, just add one letter, add a space line and a letter Z. The complete entire hash will change the next time you upload it into VirusTotal. So what does that tell me? That means that the hash can protect against any modification, or not necessarily protect, but it lets you know that like it's something janky going on. This file now, right? This is not the same file hash that is supposed to be up here. Um, so that's essentially file hashing, right? So again, it's an algorithm or a math equation. You don't gotta know the math equation. You don't really. I ain't saying you're gonna gotta know it. You need to know which file hash algorithms are secure. Um, but you don't have to do any math to do to do this. Is all I'm saying. Um, you don't need the math to actually decode it. We got tools for that. But all you need to understand is it's an algorithm that is essentially changing the document from whatever it is into a specific hash value, right? Which is that alphanumerical phrase. And then each time that document is changed, you can add one letter. The complete entire hash value changes completely. So again, if you see a hash that you are not expecting, right? Like if okay, you're expecting a certain hash, and then you see something is different with that hash, you can see immediately that something has been modified. You should not open that document, right? So, and I know that's a lot without seeing it right now, and I should have got a screenshot of the file hash. Let's see, and I don't want to go too deep, but let's see if we can go to Wireshark download. Let's go to wireshark.com. Look for the documentation. I actually downloaded it. Let me see. All right, so let's look at version 4.4.0. 4.4.0. Let's see the release notes. Essentially, when you normally when you download like a open source software, they will put the hash along with the actual file so that you can verify that you are actually accessing the same file. Okay, I don't want to digress, but I did want to show you a hash. Okay, I'm not gonna waste no time trying to show that right now. But essentially, it's just an alphanumerical phrase that represents a document in that particular point in time. Again, if that document is changed, then the entire hash changes, right? And that's the concept behind hashing and file hashing. So just like with everything else, we got more secure algorithms and then less secure ones. So MD5, um, MD5 is used a lot, right? But it's not really the most secure, right? Um, we also have something called SHA-1. Again, that's not secure. I didn't even put it up here. Right now, the standard is SHA-256, right? And that's just the most. It's not the most secure algorithm, but it's the standard that we are using for securely using hashing. We also have SHA-3. It's lit, for sure. But again, that's just something that's even more secure. You, for the most part, you're going to see something come up with SHA-256. If you end up opening that document inside of this tool, VirusTotal, you'll get multiple hashes they're going to be different, right? But you're going to see an MD5 hash. You're going to see a SHA-256 hash. You're going to see a um, SHA-1 hash. You're going to see a SHA-3 hash. You're going to see all those different hashing algorithms. When you are validating it, you got to make sure that you looking at the right hash. Meaning, like if we looking on Wireshark to download an actual like to look to verify the file hash, right? And we trying to see if they put it out. we need to make sure that we paying attention to what algorithm it was used to perform that hashing. So like we got to match the SHA-256 with the SHA-256. We can't match a SHA-256 with a MD5 because it's gonna be a completely different number of alphanumerical phrase essentially.
Okay. So you had to choose one.
All right, and then we go to availability. Availability. Uh, Availability is really talking about ensuring that data is up and available and accessible, right? If we work for eBay.com, right, the main source of income for the company is going to be that web server, that web application. We need to make sure that that application is up and is available to our customers the same way that we need to make sure that the infrastructure is available to our employees, right? I think it's a very big component in the CIA triad for sure. The way that we protect against it, um, it's through backup, man. Just like you got to back up your phone, man. They tell you, man. They tell you, make sure you backing up that phone. You know, your phone crash, and you don't got no backup, then you lost a lot of your precious memories if you take a lot of pictures in that joint, and you ain't got them, backed up or uploaded somewhere for what we call redundancy, or well, not necessarily redundancy, but what we call, just it's essentially backup. That's not redundancy. Redundancy essentially speaks to having a, let's say we have a lot of important systems. I'm not going into detail about what these systems are, but these systems and these servers, they play big roles in our organization. And we can actually keep it at the eBay's web server, right? Like I said, I'm a hacker. I have a botnet, and the botnet is like I got a bunch of computers that's under my control. Let's say I got 10,000 computers. I done hacked 10,000 computers. I got them all under my control. I said, "Ho, eBay, somebody done made me mad. Somebody scammed me on eBay." I'm like, "Ho, bruh, I'm taking the whole eBay down." I send my whole botnet, my infected army of robots to launch a specific type of attack. You call it a DDoS, just in general terms, right? A DDoS attack at at um at eBay because they got me messed up right now. You know what I'm saying? So I end up bringing eBay down. And eBay, I bring that one server that I was targeting down. eBay, because they make a lot of money from this web server and they understand the risk associated with it. They will have a backup device. Okay, yeah, I took one of them down. I still gotta get the other one because the show must go on. And that's what we talk about when we talk about redundancy. You have to have multiple devices that do the same thing in case something happens. A lot of the times we have to think and plan for disasters as well. Disasters can be something like a ransomware attack. I don't know if y'all are familiar with it, but like basically they hack you and they basically oh, we learned about encryption. Oh, look, they hack you, right, and the malware essentially spreads through your network and it encrypts your computers, right? Being as though it's encrypting the computers, right, it's making the data unreadable. Guess what? These people don't got the key. Nobody in the company got the key to unlock the data. So now it goes from computer to computer, system to system until it eventually spreads through the whole network, right? um Disaster recovery, right, is a plan to recover from something like that, some type of disaster. It might not be nothing like that. It could be anything. It can be a fire in the building or something like that.
Blood.
A flood. Yeah, exactly. So disaster recovery and business continuity is the plan. How do we recover from these different things? We had different scenarios of things that may happen to us, and we literally have to test these scenarios every year, a certain percentage of them, every year, right?
That's why
Um,
it's important to back up data and have rollbacks and be able to restore it just in case there is, having real time backup throughout
yeah,
the day, just in case
man.
that.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's so important. I don't know if I got anybody that do help desk in here. Like I said, that's how I came up. Man, you're a teleuser. Hey, do not save nothing on your C drive. Don't save nothing locally on your computer. Save it to a network share. Use OneNote, OneDrive, um, or something. Do not save it on your computer, right? Back your stuff up. And a lot of times people, well, at least back when I was doing it, I don't know if it's changed. Y'all let me know. But at least back when I was doing it, um, people weren't doing that, man. Yeah, mess around their computer or crash on them, we'll have to reimage it or whatever the case may be. And if they back their computer up prior to it crashing, prior to us, like if that computer's inoperable and we can't do nothing about it, and they ain't back their data up, they SOL, man. They in bad shape.
That
Um,
reminds me, I need to move some of my data from C to OneDrive
there you
because
go.
you're making me paranoid now because they got rid of network drives. Everything's just on OneDrive. So remember back in the day, you have a drive and basically it'd be
Mhm.
like this is T drive, G drive.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now it's like everything going on OneDrive.
Mhm. Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, just make sure you put your joint on that OneDrive, man, for you be in a bad position, man. For sure. I hate to see it for you. Let me see. Man, people would be crazy. I had somebody crying one day. I said, God, what they got going on up here?
Yeah,
And she lost her data.
yeah, I
I
gotta.
don't know.
No. Somebody said, "Will you be sharing the recording? Because this is great stuff." Yes, the recording will be shared and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. We will be also taking questions for those that want to hang around with us. If you have any career related questions or any questions for Quan, we will be taking your questions live here tonight as well. But we will be putting it up on the YouTube channel.
For sure, for sure. Please keep them questions in your pocket because I really want to hear from y'all. Really want to make sure y'all get it. Um, there's a lot. There's a lot that we covering over right now. So just the security best practices again, is essentially the things that we talked about right now that uphold the CIA triad is how you sum that up. Um, let's keep it moving. I might need to zoom in on this one a little bit. Let me see. All right. So common terminology. I ain't trying to turn into a dictionary. I ain't trying to turn y'all to a dictionary. Um, man, if any of my students in the chat, y'all better beat me here. You know what I mean? Like, no, for real. Y'all better make sure that y'all none of this should be news. None of this should be news, man.
Oh, so with a laugh, just Dennis said, with all love, this is the blackest cyber training ever. This is the blackest cyber training ever. Welcome to DC, Dennis. Reese.
Hey, Dennis, catch me before 5.
Dennis
No.
said, somebody said, Wanda said, for reals. People are laughing in the chat. I can't even see all.
Nah,
I
for
told
real.
you, like DC, I'm telling you, the DC Blacks and Technology chapter. If y'all definitely want to join, we're gonna put the link in the chat. But we're gonna be one of the realest chapters that ever did it. So we got events coming up. Like if you ain't hip, we ain't new to this. Y'all new to this, but this is what we do here in DC. This we get money, we talk like this, but we really know what we talking about for real.
Yeah, literally. Like I said, talking like that, I cut up. I ain't gonna lie. We keeping this thing appropriate right now for sure. But I cut up because I like to have fun with it, man. This information can be dry. Like I said, my passion is more so helping people. I do
I
love this.
did see that online that people want to break into cybersecurity Quan and they said, "Oh man, like it's boring, it's boring. You got to make this stuff exciting." So
Mhm.
I'm glad that you're doing a good job tonight doing that.
All I could do is be me, nigga. That's all I got for y'all. I don't got nothing else. Um, I appreciate you. I appreciate all y'all for real.
But I want to hold you. You can keep going.
I'm about to go. I'm about to go. So all right. So let's talk about terminology. I don't really want to turn to a dictionary. Really don't want to turn to a dictionary right here tonight, but we gotta talk about this terminology, and especially like if anybody is interviewing, right? If anybody's interviewing, um, this right here, going like if you interviewing for this the low hanging fruit, just the terms. Especially if you looking for, we're gonna get into the positions in a little bit of different blue team roles and the different positions around it. But this like common terms. It's the language. It's the lingo, right, when you're talking. And y'all hear how I talk. I'm a dog on them interviews. Let me tell you that for sure. A
You a
dog,
dog like Anthony
a,
Reese
a monster,
getting them rebounds?
a monster. I got a scope and I'm gonna hit my target. It's like, no. All right, but let me go into it. Let me go into it. So, let's go. So, alert, right? Alert, and this is coming from like the junior SOC, first or SOC Security Operations Center perspective. We're gonna get into it a little bit, but essentially, what they do, they like the security guys over the network. They looking and scouting um, for things happening on the network. We actually had to go over the terms, and they have to respond to it and systematically, right, become the machine that processes these attacks, these incidents that come through the network, right? And that's the job. That's what keeps, at least on blue team, at a high level. They kind of like they play a very important role. I don't want to know if I want to say lifeblood, but for sure, like it's about the boots on the ground for real, and that's what they are as far as cybersecurity. We use these terms in order to communicate what we talking about. So, alert. We're gonna start off with alert. So in cybersecurity, we got a bunch of different tools, and we're gonna get into that in a little bit. But these tools, they basically they do different things. They find different pieces of traffic, right? They find different they are created for they have different categories of things that they look for because there's so much stuff, so much information and data that we got to see on a daily basis, right? So they capture different things. Um, and basically, when it sees something, it's going to essentially send us an email, right? It might send us an email, and then it may have some automation because it's with Kanika in the house, man. We got automation and we get a ticket sent out immediately, and the ticket can serve as the alert. But when something is seen, is triggered, right, by one of our tools, when something looking a little janky, a little weird, right, we get an email. And then at that point, it's seen, it's in front of everybody needs to be in front of. That alert can go out to so many people. It might go to the people on the SOC. It might go up to the, senior level, senior level management, like your directors, managers, and branch chiefs or whatever organization you're dealing with. It's just a notification that something's going on. We don't know if it's bad. We don't know if it's good. But something's happening.
Investigated. Yeah.
Yeah, what's up? It's like it's an out. Y'all, our eyes on it now. Y'all on like again, FanDuel. Y'all want to get on FanDuel on our network? We got a categorization that Dier said. I'm assuming that you configure the firewall. I'm not even sure if you configure the firewalls, Dier. I'm assuming that you would. But Dier done implemented categories in the firewalls that essentially block specific categories of traffic, right? And then you go to FanDuel so much that you tripped off like a threshold alert for us, and now right, the SOC is like looking at your computer, figuring out what's going on because you've been moving like this so crazy, right? We get that alert in front of us, and now we on you now. An event, is it's like basically saying like it's almost anything is an event. Any little action, right? It might be a failed logon, might be a successful logon, might be the download of a document, just anything on your computer happening, right? Um, and essentially that event, right, can be malicious, but it's not necessarily malicious yet. Like it's just anything happening. The event is essentially what trips the alert. It's not, it gets turned into something called an incident, right, when it gets in front of the SOC and we deem that it fits the criteria that something suspect about this. We looking at it, we got the alert that an event took place, that something took place. And now we looking at it, we like, oh, what's up with this? What's up with this? What is this, man? And so now we say that it's suspicious, and we can declare that it is an incident. And in real life, it don't necessarily be like that. Like if it fit our parameters, like I said, we got Kanika in there. Kanika work on service now.
Yeah.
That joint gonna become an incident immediately,
Yeah,
expeditiously.
security incident response. So it turns into a cert ticket number, and then the SOC basically, investigates the security incident. All that information is, put into the system. But like you said, we do have alerts and notifications that go out to various different email people that are on various email lists. Um, and those notifications, get sent out to people. I work closely with the SOC, and we did use ServiceNow to develop a security incident response application specifically for the SOC. You know, we moved them from a legacy application and now they're on ServiceNow. So ServiceNow does have that ability to do the things that you're describing.
hmm Everything. I told you. I told you the other day. I live in Snow now.
And I think we also integrated it with Splunk as well.
hmm hmm Got to. And I can't wait that I'm gonna keep that in my pocket, the Splunk thing. So we can talk about it in a little bit. So I think I was at incident. We looked at it. It was wild. We say that it's an incident. It's a malicious event. It's something that we looked at. We said, nah, pop. We popped a balloon. Um, with the vulnerabilities, right? It's like essentially a weakness in security. It's a flaw in security, whether that is design, right? That might be a flaw in the application, meaning like the people that developed it, the people that was coding the application, it's secure practices to code, and maybe they coded it with a flaw that allowed the attacker to bypass security in some way, right? The flaw might be a flaw in process or a flaw in configuration, meaning like, all right, cool, we talked about some of this stuff, y'all. It's about to really come full circle. So like, you set up a website, right? Or you got a printer, you got a printer. That printer is encrypted with SSL 3.0. Again, what my man say about Jeezy? Where you at, bro? You in here somewhere? They looking at us. They watching us, man. Nah, for real. Because we use SSL 3.0. We use the outdated version of SSL. Let me see. So, like I said, so that's a flaw. It's a flaw in vulnerability. Again, we use a weak form of encryption, right, in order to secure our data, and that is no good. That's a configuration flaw, right? Maybe you configure something to maybe you configure your web application to give out specific errors. That's real bad, but that's a conversation for another day. But that's a flaw. It's a real flaw. An exploit is something that takes advantage of a flaw, right? So somebody will, a lot of the times, and I'm sorry, I missed over this part, but our vulnerabilities for the most part, majority of our vulnerabilities present themselves in software. So update your phone, people. Update your phone. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the whole reason that we get updates for real. It ain't so that we could get a new little feature and it's cute. You know what I'm saying? Like we updating our phones because there are flaws in the software that will allow somebody to bypass security to exploit our phones. You feel me? And
I
with
mean, that's
somebody,
also like your laptops too, you know, like
your
when
laptop.
Mac OS sends out that notification you to do an update, you gotta do that on laptops too, computers
hmm
as well.
Exactly. Your car nowadays update. Well, again, anything like what we were saying earlier, like everything is able to be communicated over. It's communicating over the internet. It's talking. As long as computers can talk to one of another, like they can attack. They can attack each other. They can finesse each other, right? And so you got to make sure that everything is up to date. IoT, like I said, your TV connected. Think about everything that connects to the internet in your house. When the last time you updated it? For real, like when when the
But
last time?
so for those that don't know what IoT is, Internet of Things, that's anything connected to the internet in your house. That goes for your alarm system, that goes for your smartphones, your TVs, your Echo, if you got anything, it's just anything that's connected to the internet that has software, I guess, connected to it, right?
Literally, it could be an air fryer, bro.
It could be your AC now. You know, your air conditioning unit now could be connected to the internet where you could say, I'm coming from vacation. I turned the air off. So when I hit on the plane, I want to turn that air conditioner back on. You can do that right from your phone now.
hmm Some like advanced hackers, they done started real fires, man, and like people data rooms, um, using like just hacking the HVAC system, right?
Yeah.
Like just hacking the HVAC system, heating that data room so up, so to a temperature so high where it will burn down. The computers can't operate no more. A data center is like where all the servers and stuff are located. If y'all ever seen one in the movies, it's like normally super cold in that jacket. Like, yeah, put your jacket on. Yeah, man. So to keep it going, risk, right? Risk is essentially the likelihood, right? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. I'm sorry, threat. That's the next one. So threat is essentially the person, the object that can cause danger to the organization. So the threat might be, an individual. A threat may be the actual code that somebody developed, right? For them to exploit it, they got to send it, right? But it could be actually the code. The threat can be like somebody has a USB, right? We know what a USB is, right? And they just say they put some malware on it, and then they just drop it in the hallway because they say somebody gonna be sweet and pick this up and put it in their computer. If somebody, again, that the person is the threat, the USB is literally the threat. Um, so just to keep it going, risk is something that sounds kind of different than what you would think risk is. But risk is essentially what what's the likelihood, what are the chances that a threat, right, the somebody that's a danger to the organization is going to take advantage or exploit a vulnerability. So it's the likelihood. What is the chances that a threat is going to come in here, see we got this flaw, and bag us? What is the chances of it? How likely is that to happen? We have different kind of like equations to talk about risk in order to grade and to determine what risk is for a specific system or a specific asset. Um, impact. Impact. We talked about it a little bit, right? So when I was saying that access control can really limit the impact um, of a breach on confidentiality, right? But impact is what is the outcome? How bad was it? Like, all right, they got us, but like, how bad did they actually get us? What is actually happening right now? What is the actual damage? Is it financial loss? Is it reputational loss? If it's financial loss, then how much? I got a student, um, and they work for a popular shoe company. That's all I'm saying. They work for a popular shoe company, and he told me like if this site goes down, they lose $5 million a day. Like they did their whole little risk assessment and they lose $5 million a day. I said, "Oh, that's pressure, bro. Y'all better make sure that joint is is protected, right?" But it was just that's what it is, right? Um,
That's a lot of money. Whew.
yeah, that's a lot of impact, right? Based
Lot
off of
of
like,
impact.
yeah,
Financial impact.
hmm
Yep.
or like reputational impact. So like we talked about CrowdStrike. Well, I don't know. We ain't talk about CrowdStrike, but I'm assuming y'all know what CrowdStrike is now. CrowdStrike famous now. Nobody used to know what that was for real, but now everybody should know. Y'all know what CrowdStrike is? It's basically a EDR. It made the world crash like a month ago, right? If you was flying Delta, you wasn't flying Delta no more because the planes was grounded. And we seen companies from all over the world just experience, BSODs. Everybody that had this software, and it is a dominating player in the antivirus or EDR industry. So a lot of people use CrowdStrike. Everybody experienced a loss of availability, meaning like everybody had blue screens. I don't know if y'all remember when it was going viral. You was walking through the airport and it was literally just blue screens everywhere. Nothing was working. None of the screens was working. It was just going crazy. Um, so the impact of what happened with them was essentially like a reputational loss. Like they got a bad reputational loss because of that. But again, again, before that, everybody really liked CrowdStrike, so I'm sure that they will bounce back from it. Eventually, it happens to the best of us. Happened to McAfee before a few years ago.
So, Quan, we got a question in the chat. Before you go to the next slide, can
Okay.
you speak on the fines? This is from De'Ara Footman. Can you speak on the fines companies may face from compliance violations?
Yeah. What is it called? The and I can't speak on the exact dollar amount, but is it the Fair Reporting Act? Keep me honest, De'Ara, because I'm literally talking about this right now. If organizations aren't able to protect a company's information, then they are subject to steep fines and legal trouble. A lot of the times, like when we are, building up our organizations, we have to follow these frameworks by these organizations, right? These frameworks will have us implement security in a certain way that satisfies essentially a list of controls that define like how we should protect security, right? And if it's ever found out or determined that like we like, because we have to put these controls in place and we have to attest to it a lot of the times. And if it's ever found out that we're lying, or like people be welling, like people be trying to get over because it's like that's money, that's government contracting that you can get for your business. And if it's found out that you were not honest or you were not truthful about this, and then like, again, it typically comes out in the audit or in light of an actual attack. Oh, trust me, man, we are on the hook, um, reputationally, right? We on the hook. We're gonna lose damage because we're gonna end up losing a lot of our, if we do have like government clients or whoever it is that we're dealing with, we're gonna lose a lot of that business. And then yes, we can be directly sued. So I can't give you the exact number though, dear. That was a good question. I'm scared of you, man.
Network security. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. You can keep going.
Um, okay, so now yeah, I go through the tools, man. So we're gonna go through the tools. I got a couple of vendors. These are essentially, like I said, we use a bunch of tools, and this is Blue Team, right? If you're talking about like Aria will be able to give you a bunch of different GRC tools that she's probably used and throughout her career. Pen testers have their own set of tools. I'm talking mostly about Blue Team or defensive security, the people who are investigating the attacks and essentially just trying to defensively protect the organization. We use, it's a bunch of different tool suites. Every organization is going to be different. Not everyone has all of these tools, but we typically see some mixture, some form of these tools, right? So essentially, right, like this might be a lot, and this might be. So just let me know if y'all don't get it. I don't mind going back and breaking it down, but essentially we got a security event information system, right? So actually Kanika was talking about, we tied ServiceNow to Splunk. That is very key in an organization, right? Because Splunk itself is designed to essentially collect logs from all of the different tools. So again, we got a bunch of different tools right here. Splunk collecting logs from every single tool, right? And each of these tools collect a lot of data. But not only these tools, it's collecting just our logs from our hosts and our servers. So it ends up being so much data. And when you get at scale, you work for a bigger company like Vanguard or something like that, right? That at that point, it's so much data passing through the SIM. It's our visibility into everything because all of our logs are there. Back in the day, you had to log into each and every tool individually just to perform the investigation, just to get the full story. You still may log into the tools individually, right? It might be certain things like actions you want to take care of that you want to log into the tools for. Um, but the sim makes that job so much easier because it allows you to do something called log correlation, or essentially like relate the information. You might got an alert from your firewall, from your next gen firewall and your EDR and one of your email security tools, all at the same time. But because you had to log into each tool and look at it individually, it wasn't right there in your face accessible to kind of tell the story. You wasn't able to really see that was a piece to your puzzle. You know what I'm saying? But your sim is going to put all of that data from all these different tools together in one place and make it very easy for us to investigate. So Kanika saying like ServiceNow, which is a ticketing system, is how we manage and do our work. Um, Kanika connecting ServiceNow to Splunk essentially automated like the ticket creation process, based off of whatever devices they have, as long as it's connected to the SIM, as long as that data is actually being integrated and forwarded into the SIM, they will have incidents set up when, based on specific thresholds and queries that they make. And I'm not trying to lose y'all because when we start talking about these, the topics start to get a little deep. But some vendors that we use for SIM, at the three main heavy hitters, I think, of the industry right now, Splunk is in top dog. I actually did an RFP for a SIM solution, so I had to interview with like 17 different. We had to interview 17 different SIM solutions and have them kind of pitch their differences, pitch their pitch, and we decided which one that we wanted to go to last year. But these are the three main ones that you're gonna see. The first three. I like Devo. Devo is a lit sim, so that one made an honorable mention. But you got Splunk, IBM Q Radar. You have Azure Sentinel. Um, these are the again. Splunk is probably the top leader. Splunk, and we're gonna talk about it. Splunk is a very, very, very important tool because just because of what the sim is, and to use Splunk is it uses like a language. It's almost like coding. It's called SPL and it's built off of SQL. I don't know if anybody is familiar with SQL, um, but it's a query language, and you have to create these query. It look almost like coding. You got to create these queries in order to search for the information that you need. Um, and it's the same with all of these IBM QRadar. So Splunk uses a language called SPL. IBM QRadar uses a query language called AQL. No, KQL. I'm sorry. The Custo. No, I'm sorry. IBM QRadar uses AQL, and then Sentinel uses KQL. I know that because like just over the years, like I ain't been in for. I've been in cybersecurity for maybe 8 years now. But over the years, I just had to use so many different SIM solutions and kind of learn these query languages. Um, but they all really related because they built off of SQL for real. But food for thought. Vulnerability scan is right. It's gonna be that tool that's essentially scanning your network. It's scanning your network based on on the scan times and the scan settings that you set up. And it's essentially identifying. It literally it provides other visibility, but it identifies what is on your network. Remember, your Splunk can only see what you forward into it, but vulnerabilities are kind of tricky because it could be something that you don't see or that you don't typically use. It could be something very old that you got on your network that you don't know. Maybe somebody got like a old. I'm trying to think of something that somebody had. Maybe somebody got an old printer. They don't normally connect it. They just keep it on their desk. The printer about 30 years old, and they don't necessarily connect it all the time. But every time they connect it to their computer, the printer get an IP address, and it pops up on the vulnerability scanner because it's your scanner scanning every IP. Remember, every device that got an IP is communicating on the network. Your scanner is scanning all IPs. It's going to identify what you have. That's a very big thing for a lot of organizations. 'Cause some people really don't know what they even got. How you gonna protect what you don't know? If you don't know that you have it, your vulnerability say, "Oh, we got something on this IP address right here. We need to figure out what this is. What is this device?" It'll also give you a little background on what the device is. Like, um, again, I don't want to go too. You start to get kind of deep when you start talking about these things. I tried to put a couple lessons into this, but you start to think about something like your operating system, like whether it was a Windows computer or a Mac computer. You get to kind of see what type of device it is. Sometimes you can see the applications that exist on that device, and sometimes you can even see, you will all times you see the vulnerabilities that it has. But it helps you see what's on your network and then see what flaws those devices have, right? And we gonna keep this black. I'm going firewall first, then I'm going IDPS. Your firewall is like your Wakanda shield, man. Like it allows traffic to come in and out of Wakanda. It controls what traffic can come in, what traffic can go out, and it's through like a big list of rules. It's through like a big list of rules. Those rules are called an access control list or ACL. Your firewall is also majority of the time responsible for your VPN connection as well. So if someone has I don't know what VPN y'all using, but if y'all got like Cisco AnyConnect, y'all work from home, um, then that's the Cisco ASA firewall. If you got Palo Alto Global Protect, then you got a Palo Alto Networks firewall. If you have, I mean, some VPN solutions that's not associated with a firewall at all, like Pulse Secure, but yeah, Pulse Secure got its own little set of little things that they got going on with them. But again, that is primarily controlling what can come in and out of the network. Like I said, computers talk. What conversations can be had, and there are a list of rules that's created that govern um, that governs this network traffic or these computer conversations and what can be allowed. It's like the law of the land. Now, like I said, your firewall is your Wakanda shield, and if that was the case, right, then your IDPS, right, or it's really called IDS and IPS, right, but you blend the two because they do the same thing. With your IPS or IDS, it will almost be like, I don't know, some apocalyptic world, man. We got drones that just kind of looking at us, making sure we doing what we need to do. Like they surveillance drones that's just kind of monitoring the surveillance. If it see any weird activity from us, then they on site, right? Like that's basically the IDPS, right? With the IDS, the intrusion detection system, right? It's scanning the network. So it sits like right in front of that firewall. It's going to scan the network um for traffic, right? And when it's looking for bad patterns, patterns that match attacks, that match exploits. Since we learned about exploits, we use our vocabulary words. Um, but they scan in the network for exploits, and if it sees something that matches an attack, this is where the differentiation comes in, right? Listen, the IDS, right, a little softer, man. The IDS, like, oh, we under attack, y'all. Hey, we under attack, everybody. Come fix it. You know what I'm saying? Send out an alert, right? Since we're using our vocabulary words, it sends out an alert, right? Your IPS, your intrusion prevention system, right? It's not your detection system. It's not just worried about like seeing it and making sure y'all got visibility. That, hey, listen, they gonna block it first, then ask questions later. They're a little bit different. They like, oh, I'm gonna run down right now. And it's like, hey, y'all, we had this going on. We blocked it though, but y'all better go check on your man. Check to see if they okay, right? Because we blocked it, and I'm letting you know that. And so that's your intrusion detection and then your intrusion prevention system. They are essentially sitting on your network, essentially like sensors that sit on your network, scan the traffic for these patterns. Um, and then from that point on, it's either going to either send out an alert or block it and then send out an alert that they blocked it, right? But it's essentially looking for patterns. That's why I kind of say like it's like the drones. You feel me? I hope that little analogy makes sense. Um, we got a couple more tools. We got a couple more tools. So we got something called the DLP, or your data loss and prevention tool. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get through the. All right, your data loss and prevention tool, and your DLP is essentially that solution, that's going to be used to protect against something called data exfil or data exfiltration, right? Data exfiltration is essentially like you stealing out of the organization, or you maybe want to send your information to a specific source. You want to go use Dropbox, Notion, OneNote, whatever the case may be. You want to go take some information. I bet you gonna play it like that, but your DLP will catch you. It's gonna say, "Oh, what's that, champ? What you doing right here?" Or like if you got sensitive information just at rest on your computer, your DLP can come in and say, "Oh, this look like PII," and it will send an alert out to the team to investigate. And now they calling you, asking you questions. What's this? Did you not have training on how to safely handle PII or personal identifiable information? That's like if you got somebody's credit card or social security number or something like saved on your uh on your machine. That's what I'm saying. Or again, you exfiltrating the data, you sending that data somewhere else. You sending that data out. A lot of the times your DLP gonna be what catches those things. The next thing that you got is your email security tools. With your email security tools. Oh, and I'm sorry, I ain't even talking about the vendors, y'all. Again, your IPS, you don't really see too many IDPSs no more. I meant to say that note. A lot of like as technology progresses, like different tools can pick up different functionalities. So like at one point in time, I was able to save my organization a lot of money by us just kind of the suggestion that we retire the IPS system, right? They wanted to just had the IPS, but then we also had a Palo Alto next generation firewall. Well, why are we still using the IPS if our firewall has the same capability? Our firewall is now at next generation firewall. It's, you normally gonna see is NGFW. It has the ability to be a Wakanda shield, but it also got them scouts in there too. It can also see traffic. It can also see these patterns and block the patterns now, right? So you start to see that be phased out a little bit. You do got host-based IPSs too, though. So they still around. The main person that you're gonna see now is FireEye. It's also you'll see like a McAfee Network Security Manager. That's one that was used a minute ago. Very popular a minute ago, actually. For DLP, the main one that I have experience with is going to be Purview with Microsoft. The email security tools, Microsoft, as y'all going to kind of get the thing, Microsoft, just like it's Microsoft, yeah, like Microsoft. Um, Shout out to Dennis, right? Got a stronghold on the market with a lot of things.
Oh yeah, Dennis does work at Microsoft.
Yeah, I got make sure that I remember that before I start talking trash. And I'm just playing, Dennis. I'm just I'm just joking. Um, no, literally, Microsoft is super lit. And we know Microsoft literally created out the operating systems that we're using. Microsoft is an amazing thing to focus on if you want to break into cybersecurity because they own a whole suite of tools. Pretty much every tool that we're talking about, except the firewall and the IPS, Microsoft has a version of that. Microsoft. So if I talk about Azure Sentinel, Azure, as we know, right?
Yeah.
Well, we might not know, but it's Microsoft. Um, DLP, they have a DLP Purview. And a lot of people use it. It's very popular. Defender, learn Defender, y'all. Like it's a whole certification for it. We're gonna talk about it in a minute. I feel like people don't be talking about the right cert sometimes. But
But you know
Defender,
the cert guy, remember?
I'm not the cert guy. I'm not the cert guy, and I'm gonna talk to y'all about that for sure. I'm not the cert guy because
Yeah.
I do think experience is everything. But man, use that. I'm the learn guy. You better learn. Like you gotta learn. You can like if you want to be like this, you want to go live, and it's all fun and games or whatever. But like you gotta crack down, and learn. Put your hands on the keyboard and go learn something for real. Um, Anything is possible. I'm that guy too.
The more you learn,
Just
the more
anything
you
is.
earn.
That's what I love about this, man. Like early on, man. Like just being intentional. Like I knew my teacher was the person that taught at the Hope Project. His name was Sean. Oh my man, he doing good. He was teaching us for a minute. He had to go for some like personal reasons, but he don't even know this, man. That's crazy. But he inspired me, man. He used to have the Jordans on. He used to be like, man, he used to be like upkept. And I was like coming out of high school, y'all, and a little background, man. I had a kid, young. I'm like, I'm a regular kid, man. I was graduating high school, man. First year out of high school, I had a kid. And it was like, what to do with my life? And my wife ended up dragging me to that program, and man, it changed my life. Like she dragged me to the Hope Project, and I found my route, I found my way, and I ran my play. Sean told me kind of off the arm, like this what I do. He was a pen tester though, and it just was exciting, and I seen the potential in that field and really took off. My bad, I'm rapping, but that's just so y'all can know a little bit
Yeah.
about the story. But
Nah, we definitely appreciate the background story because people they said they want to wait to the Q&A. They had some career related questions for you. So y'all hold tight. We're gonna get to those as
all right,
well.
just let me get through the next slide, and I think we could, because I'm after this I go to like a different lesson. So like I know we needed 15 minutes for the Q&A. I don't want to take up too
Yeah,
much
yeah,
time.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you still holding strong. We had over 100 people still holding strong with you this whole time. So people are definitely enjoying the content. I'm enjoying the content. Let me know in the chat if y'all been enjoying this webinar. This
Man,
is
let me know.
some real rich information for y'all that want to get into cyber. People saying, heck yes, all caps. It's been good. It's been good. Most definitely. Yes. This is
All
free game. Thank you. This is great. Love the delivery. Love it. Let's go. Yes.
right.
Very informative for sure.
All right, for sure. We live in the chat for sure.
Okay. Yeah, we good. We good. Keep going, bro. Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna take it at right now we talking about the roles. We done learned a whole bunch of like background information. I'm gonna just talk about these roles real quick, um, so that we can talk about like how to get these roles. So, a couple of different roles you got, right? So you got your security analyst, right? From my perspective, a security analyst again. Well, any of these titles don't mean nothing, right? Like you gotta look at that job description, look at that JD for the most part. But just traditionally speaking, a security analyst, or at least from my perspective, like a junior SOC analyst, is going to be the first person on deck to be those boots on the ground as far as the security, the threats, the alerts. They're the first people that grab those alerts, right? And you gotta think of this like an ER for real. They are there to triage the alerts. You feel me? So like what they have to do is they monitor the inbox or the ticketing system queue or whatever the case may be. When them alerts come in, they investigate it. We got like a whole little life cycle that we follow. But essentially they take part in something called the detection and containment phase of the incident response life cycle. And that's number two and number three. I wish I had put this up here. But essentially, like I said, they monitor that queue. They see like, oh, this alert coming in. But then they got triage because they might get 10 alerts at one time. Hopefully it ain't too bad like that, but they might get a lot of alerts at one time, right? They need to know what's more important, right? So it's triaging just like they work in the ER. So like if you work in the ER, you got somebody in, he came in, he broke his pinky, bruh hurting right now. Like, bruh in real pain right now. You know what I'm saying? His pinky messed up. It's broke. He just got to sit there for like 2 hours though. But then you got somebody that got some more, more type of like graver complications, some more serious complications. Best believe they're gonna get seen before, bruh with the pinky. We care about bruh pinky. It's messed up that it's messed up. You know what I'm saying? We feel bad for him. But somebody might need more attention because they are dealing with something more critical, right? And that's essentially that role of the junior SOC analyst right here. They are essentially the front line of the ER. They kind of doing like the admin work. They doing preliminary investigation, and then a lot of the times they have the ability to contain the threat. So you think about it like any zombie movie, or we all went through COVID, bro. What they tell us do? Oh, you got to go on quarantine for 14 days. Same thing with the junior SOC analyst. They look at, well, we use the virus total, the little application that I was showing y'all a second ago, this joint, and you can put in like an IP address right here. Actually, let me see. This one is better. Abuse IP database. This is not the one I like to use when I'm on it. And you can put an IP in here. I wish I had a sample malicious IP, but when you put that IP in there, and that's fucked up. I ain't meant to get back. But when you put an IP in there, ooh, when you put an IP in there, it will give you essentially a reputation, right? What reputation does this IP address have? Right? Like, what is this IP address about? What has it been seen doing? Right? And then you will get a bunch of different comments and a bunch of different vendors that flag it like, oh no, this is malicious, right? When we got that, we're going to block that IP address in our next generation firewall, because we know our firewall is our Wakanda shield. And if it's somebody that don't belong to our network, they need to get blocked by that firewall, right? Um, but if it's something internal, it's one of our devices. It's Bob's printer that it was communicating with. Now we gotta kind of look at Bob with a side eye, like, "Oh, Bob, what's up with you, bro? Like, what was you doing talking to the Russian IP over there? Like, what you got going on? What you doing? Our organization don't do no business with anything dealing to do with that region of the world. So what were you doing, Bob? So now we got to kind of turn aside on Bob. While this investigation going on, Bob water cut off. Bob, we ain't messing with you right now. You should have moved smarter. I don't know why you was the victim of an attack or why you having this communication. Guess what? I'm sorry for you, champ. Um, you got to go for a minute, and then they cut off all connection to Bob's internet, and then they send it up. So now the threat is essentially contained. Now we block the IP address on the firewall. We shut off Bob. We cut Bob water off. Bob can't do nothing no more. And so now we can continue and proceed with our investigation, right? And that's when it gets sent up to our incident responder. That's where number two comes in, right? And this incident responder, they might call it an incident responder. They might call it a senior SOC analyst. They might call it tier two SOC analyst, whatever, right? This is the incident responder. This person is receiving the incident, the triage incidents, so the important ones that was coming up, the true positives, the true incidents that they were receiving, that they got reported from the SOC, and then it's their job to fully investigate what is going on. They have to put the pieces together from every tool to identify what happened, what was the effect of this? Was it successful? Was it not? And if so, how bad was it? And then they also um, have to tell that company how they need to move forward, right? They come up with it, right? And a lot of the times, how we move forward, for the most part, couple different things. We're gonna either do like a system restore. We're gonna restore, like if it's a server. Oh, I should have talked about that at containment. But if it's a server, or like again, a server is like a strong computer on steroids. It got a dedicated purpose. Like we use a server for hosting websites, as a web server, email server for hosting emails. If it's a server, we don't really want to wipe that joint for the most part. A lot of the times we do like a system restore, depending on what's going on. But if it's a device, if it's a host, man, we re-imaging that joint completely. We gonna completely wipe the computer, like Apple will do to you, right? And that's when that instance we were talking about, when people start crying because they lost their data. We will completely wipe it, so that, and we will eradicate the host, and we rather just restore. Excuse me, we rather just restore that data. Um, we rather just wipe the host clean, and then kind of start off on that fresh, clean slate, than rather like kind of individually like removing the malware for the most part. But that's the incident responders job, right? Putting that puzzle together, completing that investigation. They looking at a bunch of different logs. They in that SIM a lot because all the logs come to the SIM, and they telling that full story. To switch things around a little bit, we go into the vulnerability manager. So we done talked about IPs, we talked about these IoT devices, and they are essentially like I said, Internet of Things. They're responsible for. I mean, it's the devices that have IP address, and there's so many of them. So you could just think about those devices plus the amount of computers and laptops, desktops, servers, all the IT equipment that an organization has, and you can just imagine, depending on the scale and the size of that organization, just how daunting like the job of a vulnerability manager can be, because there's a lot of flaws that's found. Their job is to systemize and find a way to remediate these, right? They work with different teams to make sure that stuff is patched, to make sure that the flaws get fixed, the systems get updated, or the configurations are changed and made more secure. Um, and your security engineers are essentially, it's Bob the Builder. They build the security environment. They build the tools that the incident response person use, that the SOC analysts use. They build these tools. They engineer these tools. They create like the detections inside of Splunk. They update the signatures inside of your next generation firewall or your EDR. They the ones who manage and maintain these devices, right? Adding the functionality of like turning on Palo Alto threat prevention, right, is essentially giving Palo Alto the ability to move as an IPS, right? But that the engineer's job would be to do that. To build the ACL, the engineer's job is going to be to do that, right? To set up Splunk and then work and get that system connected and in tune with ServiceNow. Guess what, Kanika, you had to work with the engineers. I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure you had to work with a Splunk engineer to do that, because it's the you have to do some work in Splunk for it too. And again, I'm saying that to say that the engineers are essentially the builders as it comes to security.
You're right.
And I'm gonna just leave it right here. Right. So this is cert map. We was gonna talk about a couple more things, but you got security engineer, and a specific search that you can get. Again, security engineer right here, do not got a CISSP. I got a bunch of years of hard-earned blood, sweat, and tears and stress. You know what I'm saying? Like for real. And that's how I can move and be a security engineer and actually have some. I literally went past it, right? But some certs that you want to think about when you are becoming that security engineer, you want to really look into. I think I got a hot take on the certs, man. Like I don't really care about them, y'all. Like I ain't. Do you know how to do the work, bruh? It's so many people out here that got a lot of certifications that do not know how to do this work. You will be surprised at how many CISSPs I've actually turned down or been on the interview, and it's like maybe I'm not the main person on the interview, but I'm like, God, he got CSP. I'm intimidated. You know what I'm saying? Like on the interview, I'm like, oh, bro, I ain't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, But it be like that though sometimes. It really be like that sometimes. So it's like my preference is not on the search. What do you know? A lot of people take dumps. I'm sorry if you were a dump taker. You know what I'm saying? But no, no, the dump taker. But I don't believe in those, man. I don't believe that you know what you're talking about, and now you just out here moving wild and crazy, and you wondering why it's not working for you. You can't really finesse the knowledge.
So that kind of goes with the question that's in this chat. I don't know if this person, they anonymous attendee, this question may be for anybody that's left here. Because for those that's left here on the call, this is where we get into the career related questions. Somebody said, I'm about to complete a cyber boot camp. Want to eventually do pen testing and digital forensics. I got the Scrum cert, I got help desk cert, I got the CompTIA Security Plus. Should I settle for an internship, or should I go and get a junior cybersecurity analyst job? Or should I get a lower paid job in help desk? Or find a way to do both? What would you advise them to do?
You gotta get in where you fit in. You just gotta get some experience. So like, it depends on your lifestyle, what you got going on in life for sure. But like, if you can break into, I don't think you have to be the help desk. Like, if that's what is happening in your life, and the help desk will allow you to live a comfortable life, and I think that is a good way to break into cyber. Like, I broke in through cybersecurity through knowing somebody. Like, literally, like I would go be the help desk. Hey, y'all good over here? The security people, like, y'all good? I check on them every day. I had a clipboard and the security plus. I think it was the 401 back then. The clipboard and the security plus in my hand. I was walking around the Department of Labor. Y'all good? Y'all lie? I was checking on. I made friends with everybody on that joint. Somebody end up scooping me, taking me over to a new agency, and I had my foot in the door. It was a game. It was game over after that. But do I think that's what you got to do? Nah. You gotta kind of just get in where you fit in. Like, and if that's an internship, let that be an internship. Right? I don't think. I think sometimes people get so focused on that money, but that money is inevitable. That's inevitable. It come with the game. It come with the knowledge. So like, you'll get there. So it's really what works for you. Me personally, I typically go after like jobs. I typically go after jobs. If you are learning pen testing, right, you need to be practicing on your own to the point where you know how to pen test, and then you need to be able to articulate and put on your resume. It's going to be through a bunch of projects, for the most part, but you need to be able to market yourself on your resume and to be able to show without a doubt that you know what you're talking about. And when you can articulate for yourself, it's a game over. You in the door. You in the door.
I would agree with you so much. And I would say that someone that career coaches people on a regular basis, I would say that being able to create solid projects and to have in detailed information on the projects that you built, how you built them, walk them through the process of what you actually implemented and did and created, whether that's pen testing, whether that's any other cybersecurity related role, being able to highlight that with a couple of bullets on your project section is going to overshadow and be better than someone that just passed a certification and did none of those things. So to your point, learning the tools, being able to explain the tools, being able to describe that in your job interview, and as you're networking with recruiters and hiring managers and other people on various other teams, you want to be able to in depth, like you said, you had a tool slide. You want to be able to pick those tools and showcase the work. I would take hands-on experience over a bunch of certs with no hands-on experience.
For
Passing
sure.
an exam doesn't give you a pass to think that you're going to automatically land a job. If you do want to go that route, then you may need to start at help desk. If you want to skip help desk and go to a junior level cybersecurity role, then you need to learn the tools. You need to be explaining those tools, and you need to go onto Google or ChatGPT and identify a way to create a cybersecurity analyst, SOC analyst, or whatever role you're going after. Create a resume that mimics that level of experience that you're trying to get a job into. And you use the job description as your guide to know what key phrases and buzzwords and what types of things I need to actually be able to explain. Taking a resume from working at McDonald's or working at Target or working and taking that into a cybersecurity analyst job application, that's not going to help you. You need to talk about your future self in the way that you want people to see you.
It don't take you to work at a job to learn about log correlation, or to learn SPL, or to learn Defender. And this link getting sent out, right? It's a bunch of free documentation for how to actually use the tools. Now you gotta sit down and actually go through it. It's a grind. You ain't gonna have Quan over here trying to talk about the why and compare it to security, right? It's gonna be a little more dry, but you gotta go through it. It's something that you gotta go through. You gotta learn the
So
tools.
you want them to go through the process of setting up and configuring these tools on their own and leveraging and utilizing the documentation or YouTube to go through and set that up.
100%. 100%. A lab is the best practice that you will ever get. That the best practice that you will ever get, right? Because you actually are engineering. You're building your lab. You're building your environment, right? And depending on how you build or what you build, you can do all of these things. You can build your own. You can create your own vulnerability scanner, or you can build. You can have your own instance of a SIM. Splunk offer free trials. Splunk offer free trials for sure. I put a link to Splunk training in there. Y'all gonna have to sign up with a Proton Mail email address, because they do require you to have a business email. If you use a Proton Mail email address, a lot of the times you still, you Gucci. So you might have to create a Proton, but it's free training out here for all of these tools, right? For all of these tools, you need to get in there and get some of that training. Like, that's the next best thing to the lab. That's the next best thing to the lab. But Splunk, you can actually install it at home for free. It's gonna be free for like 14 days or 30 days or something like that. But other than that, you might end up having to like go the open source route. But just look up building a home lab. If it's for red team, look up building a red team lab. If it's a blue team, look up building a blue team lab. Um, for sure. That's some of the best things. What other questions y'all got for me, man?
Yeah, I'm just waiting to see if I see what's in the chat. Let me see. Some stuff been added in the Q&A chat. Somebody says, where can I find projects? I think you stated, did you state
Yeah. So you actually ask ChatGPT for the we in the age of AI. Use it. Use it for sure.
if you don't know how to use ChatGPT, you're kind of getting behind on doing that. You still, I guess, can they, if they don't know how to use ChatGPT, I'm just gonna say this, and I'm not saying this to shade anybody, but if you don't know how to use Google or ChatGPT, I think that you need to work on some research skills, because that's another way to get into tech as well. That everybody's not gonna drop a link directly to you. But what are some other? Somebody said, how can I find projects?
Yeah, of course. Just looking up home labs, building out a home lab is probably the best. If you talking about blue team, even in red team, right? You essentially can build out a lab that has a couple of separate networks on it. And basically, when I say separate networks, like these, they don't realize that they are part of the same network. You can set up the same organizational house. They don't understand they're all a part of the same lab for real. You can have a network for your attack machine that'll probably have like Kali Linux and Metasploit um, on it, and a bunch of different other hacking tools. And then you set up your actual fake corporate environment, right? And then it will have different security tools in it, like Splunk and your vulnerability scanners, and you might have a firewall. They got open source joints like pfSense. Um, Look up. I always try to give bro his flowers, because brother, man, Dave Cyberwalks on YouTube. His home lab content.
What
I
is it
think
called again?
Dave Cyberwalks. Dave.
Dave, Dave.
No, Day.
Day. Okay. Day,
Yeah.
Day. Okay. Maybe you want to show them, because I'm not familiar with him. I was trying to put it in the
No,
chat.
not YouTube. Let's see. Oh, y'all see my.
I think YouTube is actually a great place to like follow other cybersecurity influencers who drop gems as well, and to see what
Mhm.
they're talking about. So we're gonna look at this guy. His name is Day Cyberwalk.
Yeah, and yeah, Cyberwalks. You see, this is
Okay.
the account. Let me
So
see
you
if I
guys
can.
can write that down in your notes. Put that as another set of resources for you, free resources. YouTube University is free.
For sure. Like, go get it in on YouTube, because everything is there. People just not willing to put in that work, honestly.
And for real, like at the end of the day, if you're not willing to research, you're not willing to put in the work, you're not ready to be in tech. And I think we have to change our mindset. And I think you kind of explained that you, I think Diera has put it in the chats for those that want the direct YouTube link. It's definitely in the chat, so definitely check out that. Thanks, Diera.
Thank
Um,
you, dear.
I'm gonna go to the next question. It says, I have been in IT for 4 years. I am currently in a cyber role. Does
Mhm.
anyone know how to land a cyber related service now role currently in the next gen program?
Mm.
Um, I can take that, or you can take that. It's up to
Uh,
you.
I ain't never been in no cyber service now, bro.
All right. So, I'm gonna say for service now, if you're in the next gen program, I'm gonna say first you need to go ahead and finish the program and learn the fundamentals of service now. And I would say if it was me, I would go in and I would put in I would go in and learn ServiceNow security SecOps, security operations, and I also will go and learn that's one module. I will also go and learn their vulnerability response module, and I will also go and learn their ServiceNow GRC. Out of the three, you can go on YouTube or you can go directly to ServiceNow documentation, and you can choose one of the three as your starting point. They're all a little bit three are different, GRC and working in security, doing security incidents, as you saw in the slide in this presentation today, that there's various different roles, but those are the three main areas within ServiceNow where you can learn about the cybersecurity products and services that they offer. ServiceNow requires you to either be a developer, so you can go and be a ServiceNow cyber developer. You can be a ServiceNow cybersecurity consultant in those areas of GRC, SecOps, and vulnerability response. Those would be the areas. And then you would go and look for jobs on LinkedIn or on Indeed, and you would put in ServiceNow GRC, or you would put in ServiceNow security security operations or vulnerability response, and then you will find roles that are associated with those ServiceNow related job titles.
Mhm.
But documentation, stay in your individual developer instance, read the ServiceNow, GRC, SecOps, and vulnerability response job descriptions. That will tell you the things that you need to study. Um,
Mhm.
Next question we have, because I know we coming up on time and I don't want to keep Dennis here all night long.
My bad, Dennis.
Somebody asked, uh, Dennis, let me know if you're okay. Let me know in the chat if you ready to drop. We have a couple more questions here. Somebody says currently a cyber support specialist tier 2. I
Mhm.
have admin rights, Active Directory experience, including creating accounts, assigning memberships, getting some Intune experience, and assist with IT asset inventory. I have the Security Plus. I have the Azure fundamentals. I want to get into a cybersecurity analyst positions. What can I do to make my resume stand out?
You got a lot of experience. I think the main thing is highlighting what you do around cybersecurity and kind of tweaking and finessing the resume to literally, I mean, literally, like, because you got real experience. You use real tools that we are around. So as far as Intune, again, it might not be the direct cybersecurity experience that a cybersecurity analyst, but that vulnerability manager, that Intune experience do come into play. Even though we're not the ones that push the patches, we have our sysadmins that they manage these patches for us. So it's like literally talking about managing these things. And then other than that, right, whatever you don't have, because I ain't telling you to finesse too crazy, man. But other than that, it's gonna fall back on the projects again, right? They're gonna be able to see your work ethic and see what you've done. They know that you are in this field, and then if you can show that you have the initiative to learn more, I promise you. And you gotta write them projects on your resume and explain. Like you have to show that you know what you're talking about. Like you have to show that you actually did it. So you gotta have explicit detail about what it is that you did.
Describing it, yep.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's the way, bro. That's the way. It's you tapping into what you've done. Think about anything that you've done related to cybersecurity. I don't know if you had to deal with the CrowdStrike incident, but literally one of my students got asked, well, how did you guys combat the CrowdStrike incident? Um the other day, one of my students, literally the other day, bro. Literally the other day. So it's using the experience that you have to your advantage to be able to market yourself. And cyber, 9 times out of 10, well, I know at my organization we ain't had to do too. I guess maybe because I'm a manager, so I ain't had to do too much with it. But that was a very heavy task for the service desk. But it was 100% cyber related.
But anyone that experienced that or have experienced any type of cyber related issue at their job, whether it was CrowdStrike or whether it was something else, they need to take that into account, and they need to like put that as a part of their storytelling within their job interviews, talk about
Mhm.
how they're solutioning, add it to their resume. And
Mhm.
this person that has this level of experience, they need to look deep inside of what they're doing every day, like you say, and call out the cyber related things. And
Mhm.
sometimes you got to make the small things sound big, and that's another way of saying finessing.
Yeah.
One thing I tell my clients is that if you want a cybersecurity analyst job, this person says they want a cybersecurity analyst role, they need to go on Google or need to go on ChatGPT and figure out what does a good cybersecurity analyst resume look like. And
Mhm.
they need to leverage their experience of what they have now, and they need to make sure their resume looks like a cybersecurity analyst resume.
Mhm. For sure.
And Google will give you plenty of cybersecurity analyst resume examples. And you
Mhm.
need to look and see, okay, what are the things that I have here? What are the things that I can build with projects? And what are the things that I can build from my existing role? And I'm going to make my resume, instead of looking like a help desk analyst, I'm going to make
Mhm.
my resume look like a cybersecurity analyst resume. We need to be intentional about
Mhm.
rebranding ourselves and giving out resumes facelifts and keeping websites. Somebody said keep websites and portfolio projects, but describing them projects, y'all want to get around doing them projects and y'all want to focus on them certs. You need to be equally focused on the projects as much as you focus on the certs.
Mhm. Because it's undeniable. The knowledge that you gain is really undeniable. And branding, like actual branding, is very important. Like from the moment that like my students come into our class, like that LinkedIn has changed. Security, whatever it is that we are targeting, essentially is essentially kind of how we are marketing it, right? Um, but it's, I mean, essentially we still use the same experience, but it's just to make sure that the recruiters land on our profile, right? They need to be able to see us. When they click on our
Yep.
profile, it is nothing but cybersecurity. My students have to use, and I was going to get into all this. My students got to use a website called Feedly. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, they got to either listen to Feedly or listen to my man. Now, since I'm on YouTube, I'm gonna just pull him up right now. But Gerald Alger, and Gerald Alger got a podcast early morning. He lets you know what's going on in the world. We access this website called Feedly, and since I'm showing, I can show y'all a little bit, but
Yeah, maybe somebody from the team can drop Feedly into the chat. Y'all got to be writing these resource downs in your notebook. We're gonna upload this to YouTube, but for now, make sure that you're writing this stuff down.
Mhm. And this is like a RSS feed, so you can. And I'm not logged in on this profile, but essentially I can look at all my different log data at one. I mean, not log data. So I'm thinking about it like the Splunk, but it's basically like the SIM, where in the SIM you was looking at all your log data. Here I'm looking at all of the different cybersecurity blogs at one time. At one time, right? And so now I can see what's happening in the world. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, they gotta post that, man. We get on um let's defend.io. Oh shoot, my bad. I'm typing on the keyboard. It's connected to a different computer. Let's defend.io in order to practice hands-on training. Right. So if you don't have a lab, this is the next best thing. Because Let's Defend has like a little environment in here where you can literally, like, this is essentially like a sim. I mean, this is not as advanced and intricate as a sim, but this is a sim, y'all. Like this is used like a sim. If I was to go in here and go to the basic mode, right? I will be able to see, like, okay, it's different tools. We learned about the firewalls. You got a proxy, that's another tool. But it's logs coming from here. You can investigate this stuff for real. Like you can investigate this stuff for real. And it's learning modules in it too. So this is a lot of the homework that's assigned after the classes in this, and then in another website called Try Hack Me. But every time they finish their homework, guess what? Don't tell me. Go tell the world, chat. Go. Well, I'm picking the wrong joint, but go tell the world. Go put that on LinkedIn. Go start to build your brand, bro. Like, cause when somebody
And
see you, they need to know.
yeah, I love that you talk about building your brand because people always ask me, how did I build my brand? And I know you build your brand. What I did in the beginning, if I wanted to be a cybersecurity analyst right now today, Quan, I would go and read and look at other cybersecurity analysts' LinkedIn profiles, people that got solid profiles, and I would try to figure out a way of how I'm going to, you know, replicate the formatting, replicate the content, and get that experience and showcase that. Sometimes we want people to sometimes show us the ways, but sometimes we got to be very intentional about following people who already in the role that we desire to be in, and we need to see how they're presenting themselves on LinkedIn. And as we get more experience, we tailor our LinkedIn profile the same way.
If you try to break into tech and you got more followers on Twitter or IG than you do on LinkedIn,
That's
unless you
probably
like super viral, right? Then stop playing, bro. Like what you doing? Because you not even you playing. You ain't adding the
if you're
right
not
people.
on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
if you don't even have a solid LinkedIn profile, you like I told people at the conference that I spoke to last week, I said, if you don't do nothing else after leaving this, you need a LinkedIn profile. If you got a rack of IG and Twitter followers, or you stay on IG and Twitter all day and you're not on LinkedIn, you're completely missing out.
Yeah.
I got a couple more questions for you, Quan, so I want to get through them. Some of this stuff people can research themselves. So I'm gonna try to get as many questions I can get in because we gotta drop soon. Somebody said, I don't really know what area within cybersecurity to go down to focus on. Where can I start to focus in on, like how to nail down how can I figure that out? I know I want to be proactive versus reactive. Um, they're trying to figure out what specific area within cybersecurity to go down.
Yep. So let's go down and go to try hack me and let's go to the learn and
Okay.
let's look at the paths. So try hack me essentially got a bunch of different learning paths. You can do introduction to cybersecurity where it talks about different modules that or different areas and roles in cybersecurity. It's going to go into an extreme depth, and you can figure out what it is that you like. Other than that, you got. I hate saying watch a day in a life video, bruh. I hate a day in a
Man,
life
you took
video.
my response. I was gonna say that day in the life video, man, that bring visual to life though, because it kind of lets you know if you want to do that job.
Pay attention though, like make sure that they ain't spinning you because they'll say like, "Oh my God, I'm in cybersecurity. I just go to the grocery store and you know what I'm saying. I don't know what it is, but like, nah, bro. Like we really work. We really work. Like no matter what, like they pay us. Like I said, it's inevitable, but we gonna work.
I
Go
like
ahead.
the day in the life videos are good. I think going to Google and putting in cybersecurity cybersecurity areas of focus or other cybersecurity paths. I think ChatGPT it will help you. I think Try Hack
Mhm,
Me will definitely help you.
mhm,
But I think you have to have a human and emotional connection to the path that you choose,
mhm,
because if there's no like, I mean, some people want to just do it for the money, but I don't
mhm,
think cybersecurity is for the fan of heart.
mhm,
um,
mhm,
you know what I mean? So I think you have to have some interest
mhm.
and something that the path has to draw you in of what you would want to do every day. I mean, am I wrong or?
No, you right. I ain't gonna hold you. It was for the money for me when I was young, because I was I was real young. But like I liked IT period. So like on the help desk, I tried to be a dog there. I got like sent to like the HDI desktop support technician of the year when I was on the help desk. I like to win. Like I really like to win. And so like when I'm in cybersecurity, like it's like, all right, once you start getting the hang of things, you really just digging. You really just digging, and then at the point of like the analyst level, you digging and you uncovering things, and it become like a game that you can win. So that's just like for me, right? Like that's how I kind of found the enjoyment in my career. It's like every little small accomplishment that I make, I would enjoy it. And that it's like I'm like I said, I tell you today, like I can't say that it's like 100% like my biggest passion in cybersecurity. I do love what I do. I'm extremely grateful for the life that
But
this
we couldn't
field
tell from this presentation that it ain't your passion.
because I love helping y'all. I'm helping y'all. I'm helping y'all. If not, this computer be closed. You know what I'm saying? I ain't doing this, man. I told you after 5 o'clock, I'm Quan.
We have another question here. It says, how much of cybersecurity is writing policy and how much is technical?
It depends on the role. The writing policy gonna mostly be your manager, your staff, right, or your ISO, your CISO, right, or again, CISO is out, it's a far stretch, but your ISOs and that security project management team or program management team. Um, but if you're a SOC analyst, right, you in the trenches. If you're a vulnerability manager, you in the trenches. Do you got to write some policy for sure? Because like you can't be a single point of failure, right? If you are adding value to an organization, that means you are leaving that organization with something that they did not have before. That can be a new capability, functionality, or that can be a new policy. It could be an SOP, it could be a run book, it could be a playbook. But whatever you add, right, that's your little sprinkle of you that you left. If you keep doing that, then eventually they're gonna need you. Your name gonna be littered throughout that organization. Oh, you made this policy, that policy. So it's like I said, it's not like you have to do it, right? Depending on what you're gonna do, but it's you always gonna be around creating policy. So it really depends on the role. I'm sorry for that question.
Okay. No, thank you. I appreciate their honesty. So we got a few minutes left because I wanna try to drop this and end this by 9:30. So I just want to somebody asked Quan, when is your next cybersecurity class? That's the last question I have for you.
That's what's up. So it was supposed to be October, maybe like November. I'm gonna start marketing for it in the next couple of weeks. IT help desk in cybersecurity. So if you're interested, definitely hit me up, shoot me a DM. And then a lot of the times when I do that, I have an information session for like mass crowds, right? Like when it's too many people. But I like to jump on the phone, really talk to you, really know your story, really know if you're willing to do it because it sounds sweet. I sound cool, laid back, but like I'm gonna flood you with work. I promise. I promise. Like I'm really, you gotta put in the work to see the success. But yeah, hit me up and let's chop it up. October, November.
Awesome. I mean, this has been a great webinar. Let me know in the chat how we have like 73 people left. Let me know in the chat if you thought that this webinar was useful. If you weren't able to be here from the beginning, you definitely can go back and listen to the recording we'll be putting on YouTube. You can go back and take notes. You can go back and listen to all of the amazing advice that Quan was able to give you. I recommend that when we put it up on YouTube, we will be sending the email out to all the attendees that the YouTube is up. You go back and watch it. You go back and watch it 2-3 times if you need to, because this is going to help you set up yourself for success. All the resources, all the information in reference to the labs, the different paths, the different websites he chose. If you really serious about unlocking your own career and breaking into cybersecurity, you're going to need to go back and to watch this webinar, because this webinar had a wealth of information and it was almost 2 hours long, and is not going to be the best way to do it is just to watch it and be one and done. Connect with Quan. I want to give our social media manager and VP an opportunity to share some of our upcoming events that we have coming up. If you're in the DC area, we want to share a couple things with you that we have coming up for September. So I'm going to hand it over back to my team.
I'm gonna stop sharing.
Hey y'all. So the next event that we have coming up, we linked with Thanksgiving. If you're in the DC area, you might know that organization. If not, they're another tech organization. We've linked with them and we're having an in-person event, our first one for Bit DC. We're having it on September 11th at, what is it, 6:30? 6:30. In the DC area. We will drop the link to register. It's a free voter registration event. It's not necessarily geared all towards politics. So we're going to be networking. We're going to be having some heavy hitters in the room. So come link with us in person. But we also will be talking about the political climate as we see it today. We know that we have some upcoming elections coming up, so we're going to be talking about that, but we're also gearing it towards just getting you guys together, linking up in the DC area, and this is going to be our first event, so we're really excited. I know Dee probably already dropped the chat, but if not, she's gonna. Yep, she just dropped it. So she already on it. But
Yes.
yeah, link with us, register. It's completely free, and you'll see more details there. We already have so many registers, so if you are in the DC area, we'll see you on September 11th. And in addition to that event, similar to what we did today, we have more webinars coming up. All of our leadership team are in different industries in tech, so we'll be all sharing our different expertise, different webinars, different tech talks. Some of us are non-technical, some of us are technical. So if you enjoyed the cyber one, stay tuned for more.